Hey everyone, it's Em from My Life Planned. Hope you're having a good day. Today I am doing my budget setup for November. This is the Laurel Denise Scout planner in the large size. It used to be called the Portrait Planner, and this is the undated version. I have been using a sterling ink sticker pack to date it. I have really never found an undated planner that the sterling ink sticker pack didn't work for. It is so versatile. If you're new to this planner, the thing about the layout that's great is it's got a Dutch door system. So at the bottom, the days of each week fall directly under the day in the month, if that makes sense. Like all the Mondays are in a column, all the Tuesdays are in a column, and that flows all the way down to the weekly pages. It's pretty cool. And I would say there's a deceptive amount of note space as well, kind of 3 sheets of dot grid paper, which is really helpful. The sticker in the top right corner, the November sticker, is from Hungry Gal Studios, one of my favourite Australian shops. And I like a bit of colour in this planner. I'm a pretty neutral girl in my other planners, but in this planner I like to bring in some colour. I'm using some payday stickers. These ones are from May Paper Co. May sends amazing freebies with your orders, and this sheet came in one of my recent orders. I also really like the silver foil. I think so often we see gold foil and rose gold foil, but the silver foil on the grey I really like. And I'm off to a really great start because I've put my first payday sticker down on the wrong day. So it should be on the 12th, put it down on the 5th. It's okay. It is what it is. It actually peeled off pretty easily. I'm pretty easygoing with my budget, actually. That's a lie. I'm not easygoing because I've got lots of goals, but I don't track certain budget categories. When I started my budget, I would use a spreadsheet, and I had a kind of line on my spreadsheet for every single bill, every single type of expense, and I would calculate each payday, kind of like a fusion of the budget mum, really, but it became a bit too much for me. So I've reined it in a little bit. I'm using some whiteout. Again, doing a great job here. Using some whiteout to cover that date because I'm going to cover it with some washi, and sometimes it peeks out from the back of the washi, so I just wanted a clean slate. I'm using a washi tape from the Coffee Monsters Co. I like that Helen has a few different sizes. I love her really thick washi tapes, and I like the regular size ones too, but I figured that I needed to cover up the whiteout, so I needed something a little bit thicker, which is why I chose this one. It's quite neutral. I think it's a kind of chalkboard design, which is cool, and it looks nice with those payday stickers. Even though I'm looking forward to getting back into a dated Scout for next year, I still haven't decided if I will use the small or the large. Probably the large because it's my favourite cover. I will miss being able to decorate the top like this because I think there's some more information on the dated planner that's up there. Maybe there's some calendars, so I'll have to decide whether I keep those or not. The perfectionist in me is a little like that the November sticker doesn't line up with the washi, but I'm choosing to let it go because it really doesn't matter. Now is probably a great time to say that, of course, this video isn't providing any financial advice to anybody because I have no qualifications to do that. But what I do next is write in my monthly bills. Normally I put in the amount, obviously, but I was just not sure if that is something to share. So as I continue to work through this whole YouTube business, I will decide whether I put in the actual amounts or not. But you will see my bills total at the end, so it probably doesn't really make too much of a difference. My mortgage does come out on payday, which is convenient. Both of them are fortnightly. As I said before, I used to be really firm on all of my categories, but now I have a whole category that is just bills and regular expenses, whether it is a subscription, a bill, it doesn't matter. I just group it all together. everything. I know the cost of everything for each month apart from my electricity bill. It's always a little frustrating. That kind of comes through in the first week of each month, and the same every second month when my gas bill comes in. But it's okay, it's always around the same amount. I'm pretty good with estimating. And this month is one of those months where all of my quarterly bills, not all of them, most of them, seem to come out in the same month, or all of my irregular bills. So I have my car registration, I have my rates, which is what we pay here to our local council, I suppose, when we have a mortgage, and also my water bill. So that's a little frustrating, but it also means on the other months there's a better opportunity to save. So it's okay. One of the things I'd like to do is manage my subscriptions and services a bit more closely for the rest of the year. I'm noticing that I'm paying my yoga once a fortnight. It's an online membership, and I'm definitely not using it as much as I could be to get the most value out of it. I did cancel my Netflix last month, but I feel like that will come back over my summer holidays. But again, when you're writing down your bills and you're noticing things that you're paying for that you don't have to be paying for, if you're not really getting the most use out of it, is it the best way that I could be spending my money? If you've seen my other Laurel Denise videos, you've probably noticed that I really like using her sticky notes. They are designed to fit each planner, so the user experience is very nice. And down on this note section, I just add any notes that I need. So as I said, my electricity amount I need to finalise once I get that bill. And I also need to remind myself about checking those subscriptions. So is there anything coming up? I also need to look at last year's budgets for the rest of the year to see if there's anything that will be coming out in December that I maybe need to think about cancelling. I definitely have been stung before by a yearly subscription I forgot that I had, and then I didn't cancel it by the due date, so I was stuck with it for another year. I keep the habit tracker section pretty specific for my goals, so I have to track my spending. I do this each day, but not necessarily daily, if that makes sense. So I might do it every couple of days. I might check in every day, but every day will be tracked by the end of each week. I also track whether I'm spending my money mindfully, whether I'm getting food delivered. I've said it here before, I'm not anti-food delivery, but not if I've got a fridge full of food that needs to be cooked, if I've had any no-spend days, and if to some degree that day I have used what I have, whether that is in my pantry, whether it is clothes, whether it's my planner supplies, whatever it is, have I used what I have before thinking about buying something else? And I'm just putting in my headers now. I'm using my mild liners. I am a highlight first, write second person. Of course, everyone has their own way of doing things, and this is where I'm going to put everything that I am tracking for the month. So the first thing that I add up each time is the estimation of how much my bills will be for the month. As I'd said, this month is yuck. So $3,396 coming from my bills and regular expenses. The rest of it, I don't think I'm putting on camera. Maybe one day, who knows? But then I figure out my estimated income from the month, and then I see what's left over. Then I will give myself an allocated amount of money for the rest of the month for everything. Groceries, going out, buying people's gifts, if I need to buy things for work, travel, whatever it is, everything else comes out of the same pot. So I will have my savings goal, then what I actually saved, my savings at the start of the month, then what my goal is for my savings for the end of the month if I reach my goal, so what my total savings would be, and then there's a spot for what my actual savings is at the end of the month. This system works really well for me. Last month I had a pretty lofty goal and I managed to save an extra $1,000 on top of that. It gives me flexibility. I really don't work well with feeling really restricted per category or doing no spend categories. It just makes me want to rebel and then buy all the things. So I've used a sticky note for just another note to myself there, and that page is done. I like to use this front notes page of each month as a mini Kanban board for my finances. So I like to count out, make 3 sections. There is not a good amount of grids to have even boxes. So if you are going to make one at home for anything, I have 11 boxes, then 10 in the middle and 11 on the right. Again, highlighting my headings, I've got tasks in progress and completed. And I have to say, I am still very confused by this new Laurel Denise sticky note packaging, because they are all identical and I know they're labelled, but it's just not working for me, having to constantly open them and look through them and then look through again because the outside packaging is identical. I don't get it. But anyway, back to the Kanban board. I am putting in my tasks for the month. So the first thing is my monthly budget, which is pretty much done, so I'm sure I'll end up moving that into completed. I also do my end of month summary at the end of each month, so obviously that one can't go anywhere for now. And I also do a weekly summary, so on my last, I think, Sunday planning video, I definitely walked through that. I will have another one of those videos coming soon. I think it will be good for me to film those because it will keep me in some form of accountability to keep myself going with my planning, which is fun. So I am using the itty bitty sticky notes to add in the dates of each Sunday of November, and that is when I will go through and do my weekly summary to see where my money is going for the week and make sure that I'm on track to hit all of my goals. And it's super satisfying that the last day of the month for November is on a Sunday, so it'll be really nice to wrap things up at the end of the month. Part of my budgeting and finance routine is also doing a mid-month check-in. Even though I check in each week, a mid-month check-in also helps to hopefully reassure me that I am on track for meeting my goals for the month. I think my savings goal for November is about $3,500. December is historically not a great month for saving, as it's the holiday season with lots of gifts to be purchased, and also summer holidays here, which I would like to enjoy and not be so focused on savings. So something like a mid-month check-in is really helpful to stay on track. And that way, if I am meeting my goals in a month like November, it means that December can be a little bit more easygoing on the budgeting front. I've done my November budget. I've also added in to file my receipts. I'm really trying to be better at having kind of monthly blocks of life admin, whether it's for budgeting or other areas, rather than kind of getting overwhelmed and leaving it to a point where there is a lot to do every 6 months or so. Here's how my month is looking. I found this sticky note when I was going through some of my planning supplies, and about 10 years ago I started the debt snowball method. I was in a lot of non-mortgage debt, so I thought I'd stick it here to remind me of how far I've come. Let me know if you want a video outlining all of that. I was a pretty hardcore documenter of everything back then. I'd be happy to share. So here is my system. I've got my Kanban board. I'm ready to start tracking for November. Started moving my tasks over. I've got all of my habits, my goals. I do have my affiliate code for Laurel Denise, my Life Planned 10, if you're interested. But thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.